Greetings and salutations, YouTube. It's your friendly neighborhood armchair philosopher, Fragments of Memory. How's it going tonight? I want to mention a 5-letter word, pride. It's named as one of the 7 deadly sins. The Bible describes it as going before destruction, and that God resists those that have it. Islam teaches that anyone who has a grain of it will be forbidden from paradise. The Abrahamic faiths teach us not to think more of ourselves than we ought to. I mean, let's face it, we did not ask to be born, nor do we pick our parents, or even where we are born. Even some of our good fortunes were through luck, providence, or God, if you will. So what is there that I can boast about? What is there that I can be proud of? I can be grateful, thankful, and appreciative in the things that I have received, but never boast about my having them. Ultimately, any of the things I have can be taken away from me, even my life. To be human is to know victory and defeat, triumph and tragedy. As the poet said, man was made for both joy and woe. Saying all this is me trying to merely point out that just as life has its vicissitudes, people have their virtues and vices. We stub our toes, we skin our knees, we go to the toilet, and we make mistakes. Keep in mind these things when thinking you are better or superior than your fellow man or your fellow woman. We all come from a seminal discharge, and for the first half of our lives, we were helpless. We couldn't feed ourselves, couldn't clothe, shelter, or even wipe ourselves after answering the call of nature. We will all die one day and be food for the worms and maggots. Depending on your faith, you will then have to face your God. Now, I read this really cool book called Ego is the Enemy by one Ryan Holiday. And one of the books he recommends is the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, particularly the translation by Gregory Hayes, which I am currently reading right now. And it deals with Stoicism. And both Ryan Holiday and Marcus Aurelius talk about how one shouldn't be as boastful about what they have and what they can bring, because ultimately those things can be taken away from you, as I said earlier. And 2, both people recognized their place in the cosmos. We are a little minuscule planet swirling in the sea of the cosmos. So think of that. Think of the vastness of the universe and outer space and what the scientists have seen. And then think of us and how small we really are. And I say all that to say this. We like to judge the street dude. And I found myself guilty of this. We judge the man who served time in prison and we say, I'm better than him, I'm superior to him. We judge the woman who may have had a checkered past in regards to her virtue, her chastity. And the reality is that isn't always, we shouldn't judge her. Or we shouldn't be so quick to see ourselves as better than her. Let me put it to you that way, because everyone judges. But we should be quick to recognize that we probably wouldn't be as shining and shimmering if we were in the same circumstances as those people. Yes, there's individual choice, but yes, there's also circumstances and environment which cultivated and shaped an individual. And we don't get control as to how that happens. The only thing we can control is our response. The only thing we can control is how we perceive things. But we sure as hell cannot we did not make ourselves 100% of the way. So that's just something to consider. And I say this to myself while I'm saying this to you. Because, the Bible and the Quran and many of the sages throughout history talk about how pride and ego and arrogance can lead to your downfall. And usually I find that sometimes when I've done something that's more, when I've done something that's a little bit more praiseworthy and I get filled up and puffed up, and then there's always something that comes along to pop my little bubble and send me hurtling back to earth. That's when that's when we got to realize, steer clear of this thing called pride and thinking you're better than everyone else. Because ultimately, we're all going to die one day. Let me know what you think in the comments or even a response video. Peace.